Welcome to Season 2 of Red Sox Digest, the only show where pain, sarcasm, and false hope collide nightly, like a Masataka Yoshida ground out to second. We break down every loss, every meltdown, and the occasional win, with sarcasm, facts, and no front office spin. Subscribe today at RedSoxDigest.com, or keep wondering how a wildcard team spent an entire offseason avoiding power hitters. And now, here's the crew at Red Sox Digest.
Good evening, sports fans, and welcome to another edition of Red Sox Digest. I am your host tonight, Jim Delfino. And let me tell you something right out of the gate. Hosting this show right now feels like being the captain of the Titanic, except instead of hitting an iceberg, this Red Sox team is just drilling holes into the boat themselves, and I'm standing here every night in a suit pretending we're not taking on water. And if you're still defending this team, if you're still doing the it's early thing, if you're still talking about underlying metrics, let me tell you something. You're part of the problem. Because what we just watched in this Minnesota series wasn't a bad series. It was really an embarrassment. Joining me tonight is Nick Face, a man who doesn't just hate losing, he hates what this team has become. This isn't even about anger anymore. This is about disgust. Nick watches this team like you watch a horror movie that can't turn off. You know it's going to end badly. You just want to see how stupid it gets. He's not arguing with fans anymore because they're starting to realize he's been right the whole time. And joining me tonight is John Martinello, our analytics guy. But tonight, John's less spreadsheet genius and more like a guy who's trying to fix a flat tire with a calculator. He's sitting there during an 11-run inning, punching numbers into his phone like, all right, if we carry the one and divide by momentum, we're still in this. Meanwhile, the rest of us are watching the game like it's a car crash in slow motion. John's the only guy I know during a complete meltdown is calmly saying, well, technically we haven't lost yet, as the house is literally on fire behind him. You've got to respect it. Blind optimism mixed with just enough math to make it sound convincing. All right, let's get into it. Your Boston Red Sox just lost 2 out of 3 to the Twins, and somehow that undersells how ugly this really was. Let's start with Garrett Crochet, because we have to. This wasn't a bad outing. This was a full-on collapse, a meltdown, a call the fire department situation. Everything's fine, and then the second inning hits, and it's like the controller disconnected. Double, single, walk, batter, another RBI, then a 3-run bomb, and before you can even process it, it's 11-0. 11 runs. Do you know how hard that is to do in Major League Baseball? You basically have to stop trying to get outs. And that's what it looked like. No command, no put-away pitch, no one stepping in to slow it down, just batting practice with a crowd. And defensively, Trevor Story boots one, throws it away, throws his glove away. More runs score, just piling on. That inning alone told you everything about this team. When it goes bad, it completely unravels. And what tells you is this. There was zero response. Not one guy stepped up and said enough. And then game 2. And this is where the offense officially disappears. Shutout, 3 hits, strikeouts everywhere, no traffic, no pressure, no adjustments. You're watching professional hitters go up there looking completely overmatched. Fastballs down the middle, getting fouled off, breaking balls in the dirt, getting chased. It looked like a spring training split squad game. And where are your supposed guys? Where's the middle of the order? Where's the threat? Wilson Contreras, quiet. Trevor Story, up and down. The young guys, flashes, but no consistency. It's like every night you're just waiting for anyone to grab the game, and no one does. And then we move on to game 3, and this is the part that drives you insane. Because they show you just enough. Roman Anthony, good swings. Rafaela getting on base. Story finally delivers a bomb, a double, driving in runs. They put up a crooked number, and you're thinking, all right, this is what it should look like. And they go up big, 9-1. You think the game is over, right? Wrong. Because this team refuses to make anything easy. The bullpen comes in and suddenly it's chaos again. Walks, hits, and then boom, 3-run homer in the ninth. Now it's 9-5, and you're sitting there like, are we really about to do this again? Even when they win, it feels like they lose. That's how broken this team feels right now. And then we get to the moment that just perfectly sums up the whole entire team's mentality. Yep, Jarren Duran flipping off a fan in Minnesota on the road. I commented on Twitter. I called him a moron. And folks, I'm standing by it. For all those fair-weather Red Sox fans that came at me last night and today about my tweet, let me just share this with you. Webster's dictionary defines moron as a foolish person. Jarren Duran is a foolish person. The fan in the stands was a foolish person. Listen, I understand the frustration. I really do. But you don't get to do what he did. Not when you're playing like this. Not when your team just got embarrassed in the series. You want to show fire? Play better. You want to silence the fans? Win some games. That's the standard. And right now, that standard is nowhere to be found. And let me just expand on the Duran moment for a second. You're a professional, period. You wear a major league uniform that comes with a higher standard, whether you like it or not. You don't get to act like a fan in the stands just because someone chirped at you. Ballpark Buzz said to me, it's about respect. Respect for Jarren Duran? Stop. Enough is enough. This isn't about protecting feelings. This is Major League Baseball. Sticks and stones, my friend. Fans are going to say whatever they want, especially when the team is playing like this. The response isn't flipping someone off. The response is play better. The response is winning. Anything else just makes you look like noise is getting to you. And right now, this team already looks rattled enough. Which brings us to the bigger question. Has Alex Cora lost this team? Because I'm watching this group and I don't see urgency. I don't see discipline. I don't see in-game adjustments. I see the same nonsense on repeat. Bad at bats, pitchers unraveling with nobody stopping it, defensive lapses, mental mistakes, and the worst part, they look comfortable with it. That, my friends, is a culture problem, not a talent. That's tone. And if you're paying attention today, fans, media, everyone, the patience is gone. It's not running low. It's gone because this team has no identity. They're not gritty. They're not dominant. They're not developing cleanly. They're not even competing seriously. They're just floating. And floating teams don't win anything. So I'm going to say this directly to all of you, the listener. Stop giving this team a pass. Stop lowering the expectations. Stop pretending this is close. It's not close. This is a team that gets punched in the mouth, and instead of punching back, they look around waiting for someone else to do it. And no one ever does. And until that changes, nothing else matters. Not the prospects, not the lineup changes, not the analytics. Because right now, this team isn't just losing. They're unraveling in real time. I've said enough. It's time for us to face the facts.
It's time for Face the Facts, where excuses get laughed out of the room, your feelings are irrelevant, and your opinion probably doesn't matter. No spin, no cope, just the facts. And now, your esteemed host, Nick Face.
You know what's really embarrassing, guys, is the fact that, first of all, it was a split road trip between the Cardinals and the Twins. And some fans are, oh, that's okay. A split's all right. It's not so bad. That's not what actually set me off the most. It was Jarren Duran. a guy that shouldn't be here anymore, which we've talked about, a guy that this team has overvalued and wanted something else in return for him and held on to him. And the same mistakes keep happening over and over and over again. We're seeing it now in real time. Jim, I also was interjecting myself last night when I saw the game and was seeing what was going on. Then it started to become a social media storm with, look what Durant just did again. Did he flip off a fan? He sure did. I took right to my Twitter X and I said, I've had enough. I have had enough of Jaren Duran since really the tail end of 2024. I was willing to give him a chance after the whole racial slur, not running after a ball when he first came up in center field and just kind of standing there and letting it go. I was willing to give passes for that stuff. I am done. I am passed out, literally, to the point I don't want him on my team anymore. I am sorry he's had such a horrible mental makeup of dealing what he's had to deal with. He's got a lot of demons in him, and he mentally has to be at his fullest extent to play baseball. I understand that. But this isn't the environment for him, guys. It's not. Boston is not for Jaren Duran. Why am I, the fan, telling the Red Sox what to do as a fan when I don't have a title? I'm not employed by the Red Sox. I'm not Craig Breslow. I'm not the one making those decisions. And yet here I am telling you how the body language is, how his interactions are, how his mannerisms are when he's out on the field. You can't have this in Boston. And it's infuriating that we are seeing the same shit all the time. These guys are not mentally prepared to play here in Boston. They're not. Jaren Duran would be a perfect Pittsburgh Pirate or Arizona Diamondback. He just would be. And yet, here we are overvaluing him because we have to have the complimentary war to make sure that we get something in return. Well, you know what we're going to get in return now, guys? Nothing. Because the MO is out there in Major League Baseball. Who in their right mind would want to light a candle to entertain Jaren Duran being on their baseball team right now? I'll wait. My phone line's open. I'll wait. I'll wait for that call. Because you know what, guys? It's not going to happen. Jaren Duran is lucky to be in Major League Baseball right now. Because if this keeps up, he's going to be out of a job soon. Because I am growing, number one, irritated. Number two, frustrated. And number three, shaking my head in just disgust. The same mistakes keep happening. Now let's identify what may have or may have not been said last night into the stands. I'm going to kill or go kill yourself. I put it out there on my X, on my Twitter. I said, do we know that this was actually said? Some people said, yeah, that's valid. Maybe he's just hearing things. And then I heard other people tell me that an immature, fatso piece of crap has no idea what I'm talking about. Why the hell would he make up something like that? Because he could make up something like that. He has every right to, because he doesn't want to get himself in trouble again because he can't control his emotions, guys. He's trying to get himself off the hook because he knew he screwed up. He shouldn't have done what he did with his finger. So he's trying to take the pressure. Oh, I'm so sorry. That's what I heard. That's what I did. he's trying to say that's what he heard. Because I rewinded it a couple times to see when that whole thing was going on. I couldn't hear anything. I don't know if you guys investigated that or not. I couldn't hear it. Could it have been said? Sure. Could it have not been said? Absolutely. What side am I on? You really can't know unless you have proven evidence that this was said, that the fan, who knows, maybe the fan was thrown out, that we have other fans that are in Minnesota that said it happened. I didn't hear any of that stuff. Crickets. So we're left with a little mystery here of a he said, she said scenario. And it's really unfortunate that this ends up taking center stage of this team, because this team right now could not be more unlikable than they are right now. Even fanboy Jared Carabas, who was on the Baseball Reporters tonight with Tony Maz, he even said he does not like this team. And I think when you hear something like that from one of your biggest cheerleaders and all of that, when you have some people in the media that are now saying that this team is just not likable, that they don't have a thump, that they don't have a heartbeat, that they don't have anything going on, it's very sad. And this is early here in the season. We haven't even played a month of baseball yet. And this is where we're at right now. It's unbelievable with it. I'd love to hear your guys' take on this whole Durant thing too.
Yeah, I just want to interject on some of that. You brought up a really good point and a great take, because some of the arguing that I did on Twitter today with other fans was that, I jumped to conclusions and I, wasn't sure of all the facts about what was said and so forth. And my answer to that is it doesn't matter. The reality is, and I'm going to stick by this, as I said in the monologue, you are a professional athlete. We understand that you have problems. Everyone has problems. Everyone has family issues. Everyone has skeletons in the closet. Everyone has something. No one is absolved from anything. But you still have to go out and be professional no matter what. Nick, if someone came into your store today and said you were a guinea, are you going to flip them the bird? No. I'm sure John wouldn't do that either. I wouldn't in my practice, because
I would say, have a nice day. This place is not for you. Thanks for coming in. And leave it at that.
And that's it. You don't do that. You are a professional athlete. You are in the limelight. You are center stage. And you're also, like I said, on a team that is really flailing right now. And you need to exercise better actions than was done. Am I saying the fan was right? No. Am I saying Durant was justified? No. What I'm saying is the right thing didn't happen.
And he also setting an example, Jim, too. I mean, there's young kids that, I teach in our programs and stuff on which athletes do you really want to look up to or emulate, and kind of the ones that set the right example. I would never in a million years tell one of my kids in my programs that I want them to be a fan of Jaren Durant. I wouldn't feel comfortable with doing that. Yeah. Because he's such a loose cannon, you have no idea what to expect. It's scary.
Jaren Durant is not a good representation of the game. When you look at players currently, Shohei Ohtani, faces of the franchise, that's not who you want. Tonight's Face of Facts is brought to you by the Red Sox Excuse Generator 3000. Just press a button and it spits out classics like It's Early, Small Sample Size, and We Actually Hit the Ball Hard Tonight. Perfect for fans, Alex Cora, front offices, and anyone still pretending this team is one adjustment away from greatness. Batteries are not included. You have to pay for them, much like the hitting. Time for the Martinello Minute.
And now the part they don't want said out loud. No spreadsheets or corporate spin, just the truth, raw and impatient. This is the Martinello Minute.
Yeah, so Red Sox lost the series 2-1, which means that they finished their road trip 3-3. Going 500 on the road isn't necessarily bad. And to be fair, the Twins were obviously cheating. They had our pitch com or something. But Crochet in game 1 and the bats in game 2, that's just unacceptable. I don't really need to go over the series. It's pretty straightforward. We know the recipe for what this team is. If you pitch well, you win. You pitch bad, you lose. And thus far, now 18 games in, they've pitched bad more times than they've pitched good, and that's what the record reflects. But as Jim and Nick were going about earlier, the Jarren Duran middle finger incident. I put out a tweet as it kind of came to light, and I posted it while the game was going on, and we didn't know yet what the fan may or may not have said. But I called him a child. I said that he isn't mature, and the child's comment is harsh. I'll agree with that, but the maturity aspect is 100% true. Personally, at the time, I thought that somebody was just throwing comments out along the lines of a couple of the words. And for Duran's case, I actually don't necessarily disagree with how he responded to it, just because we've seen far worse from him in the past. But that doesn't mean that it's right by any means. Duran enables fans to, and he enables and really just eggs them on to continue to say heinous things towards him because people know that he's going to give them a response. I get that he's dealt with a lot of mental stuff over the years, and especially on a subject of what the comment he said, or what was reported was said. But he needs to learn how to take that moral high ground, as Nick was saying, and ignore the comments. It's easy for us to say on here that that's what he has to do, but he's portrayed as a leader in the clubhouse, and leaders don't get provoked from heckles or immature things that fans say. And he definitely doesn't. And, he doesn't. And what leaders do are handle their emotions in a much different manner. For what it's worth, like, I hope that the fan that Duran told to go off himself was escorted out of the game. I hope that he was banned from attending Twin games for the rest of the year, and even, MLB games for the rest of the year. That's kind of what my thoughts are at this time on it. But Red Sox win today 9-5. So that's cool.
Yeah.
See, John, I was going to say, that's the thing. I feel like if this was actually said verbatim, word for word, we'd hear something. Like Red Sox fans who traveled 2 games, somebody had to hear something. And we haven't heard anything from this to back any of it up. I'm a big guy when it comes to evidence and facts. Give me those. And I haven't seen anything come out yet. I'm not saying nothing was said. I'm not saying that. But I'm not seeing anything out here that states the case of what Duran's actions are called for from this. I'm not seeing anything.
Yeah, and like kind of how the way I see it, Ian Kundl reported on it, Christopher Smith, Chris Cotillo all reported on it, and from what they've heard, that's what was said. But again, there were at each of these games 2,000, 3,000 people. When Sonny Gray was pitching,
41.
When Sonny Gray was pitching, you were able to hear him breathing before he threw a pitch.
Yeah.
You were able to hear every single Crochet comment that was said out of his mouth after, he gave up home run after home run after home run. So, I looked back at it too. I didn't hear anything. But again, like, I'm not going to go, I'll go with what the reports are for the time being, and, I'll leave it at that.
Yeah. So tonight's Martinello Minute is brought to you by Can't Hear You in Last Place noise canceling headphones. specifically designed to block out Twins fans, scoreboard announcements, and any mention of that 11-run inning. Just slip them on and enjoy pure silence, because it's a lot better than listening to the truth. I want to kind of flip gears a little bit. Let's take a look at the standings as well as the upcoming series. And
Do you really want to look at the standings? Really?
Yes, because this is what I want to tell you, Nick. Before you came on, John and I were discussing this in kind of hindsight, how, let me start it with this. John said, and I'm taking words out of his mouth, but he said, I look at the season and I look at the American League, and I'm not going to start getting all crazy about where we are right now. There's still a lot of season left and all that. And I don't want to put words in your mouth, John, but my response to him was like, I get all that. And there is, they're 3 games out of the division in last place. But the reality is they could be so far much better if they just had more consistency, maybe gotten that right-handed power bat in the offseason, got that Joe Ryan number 2 starter. I mean, you look at the Yankees. I mean, they're 9-8 now. Tampa Bay, of all teams, is in first place. They don't have not one premium player on the team. I don't even know if they have an all-star representative this year.
They got Junior, but yeah.
Yeah, I know. Caminero is great. But look, I mean, I'm trying to be sarcastic. The point I'm saying is that, if you look at how they went through this season so far, if you don't lose 2, if you win 1 more in Cincinnati, if you win 1 in Houston, if you win that second game in San Diego, that's 3. If you win the Dustin May game, it's 4. If you win the Crochet game, it's 5. Now you're talking, you're 12-6 and you're the best record in the AL. It's not that hard, and it could have been that easy. And it's just unfortunate that it is that way. Nick, I'll take your comments on that.
All right, you ready for the face the facts statement of the night?
Sure.
If this is how it's gonna be, I'd rather lose, because mediocrity is not going to fix the Boston Red Sox. It's going to make it worse. It's going to keep Fatsy and coaching staff together. It's going to keep this same formula of not spending enough and cheapening out on not getting premier talent around. It's going to keep not having a fundamentally great minor league system that's fully developed to get up to the big league level and produce. If that's what you want, great. But right here, right now, on what this organization is doing, you need to lose to make this fixed. That's the only way I see out of this. And
but can they lose it? Can they lose enough to make that happen? Because
I think so. I do, and I feel strongly about it.
My contention is they've had a number of losing seasons over the last couple of years. And
yes, but not as painful as what we went through in like 2012 with Bobby V. I want, in a way, this to be Bobby V bad. Blow it all up.
Yeah, and to the point of those 22, 23 seasons, they didn't do too much after those, just because of all of the the entire minor league system and what they knew they had coming up here. And now it's here, and it's still obviously it's not enough.
I want to.
That's why I look at it. I look at it and say, as much as I want them to win, I think they would win, and everything falls off the choo-choo train. Yeah. Meaning, like it's going to be status quo. You're going to keep everything the same, and we're going to go through another 4 or 5 years of this torture. And I don't want to do that to myself anymore. I want change. I want change more than anything on this entire organization.
Yeah, just to kind of switch gears for a second on the payroll. So Tony Maserati was talking about this, I think, in the Baseball Reporters, or was on Felger and Maz. And it was interesting. He had an article as well. I kind of quote tweeted it for everybody. The Red Sox, I think the 2026 Red Sox are going to be in 12th in baseball for payroll. And their payroll numbers and their luxury tax numbers couldn't be further apart from themselves. And this was a contention point if you go read the article. And a lot of it has to do with contracts. Like you look at Roman Anthony, who's essentially, when you're talking luxury tax, they look at the AAV, even though it doesn't particularly mean the contract is built that way. So, for example, I think Roman Anthony's on the books for 16 million a season, something of that nature, but he's only making 2 million this year, or a little over 2 million. And how that works is that as the years go on, that contract is backloaded, but the luxury tax hit is early. And because of the luxury tax implications, it forces a team like the Red Sox to actually be lower in payroll than they should be. And this is where you're seeing differences back in 03, 04, 07, 13, and 18, because in those championship driven and championship seasons, they were top 3 in payroll each minimally. And in 2018, they were number 1. And this has been a contention of mine for years. And I see fans saying, you can't be there. You can't be there all the time. And my answer is, sure you can. You'd have an owner and management that doesn't elect to be that way. John, your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, as far as the payroll goes, you're correct. And one thing that even we kind of hammered along before the season started was that the Red Sox were 6th in luxury tax spending over the season, and like we didn't really look at what their actual payroll was, which I think it's somewhere around like 180 million, if I'm not mistaken, which is I think about middle of the pack, maybe a little bit high, maybe like around like 10th in the league or something, something along those lines. But yeah, absolutely. Back in the day, and obviously, the leagues run a lot differently now than it was even 8 years ago, where, now guys are getting contracts before they even play a game in the major leagues. Whereas, 10, 15 years ago, that definitely wasn't the case. So, and I think it was Tony Maz who made this point the other day, where the way the Red Sox are operated now is they're, Craig Breslow, whether he's made to run it like this or not, this team's run as a mid-market franchise, where you have to squeeze out every single last ounce of what, any prospects that you have, guys that come up through the system, what they have to offer. That's why a guy like David Hamilton, and this is directly from Tony Maz, is like David Hamilton, we try to make him a power hitter, even though he wasn't that, because they don't have the availability to go out and go get more power in the lineup. So, when you operate like this, you don't have the accessibility to go out and get the big thumper that we needed in the offseason. And that now hurts you because you have this huge luxury tax because you've paid all these guys, but you still have so many glaring holes that this team's just never going to get over that hump and get to the top of a division and not have to worry about playing in the wild card, because just the limitations that the ownership places on the franchise.
Nick, you have any comments on the payroll?
You will never see John Henry spend big again. And you mark my words, with him as the owner, you won't. We're going to be living in the glory days and in the past for forever and ever from it, and appreciating those 4 championships. But John Henry's done with spending big dollars. He's done. I think what did him in on the biggest deal was David Price. I think after he felt of getting burnt on that deal, even though David Price ended up becoming a world champion, was his time in Boston great by any means? No. But did he rise to the occasion when it mattered? Yes. He showed up when it mattered. So in a way, that contract wasn't as bad as a Pablo Sandoval's was for that nature. But I don't think that we'll see anything with John Henry that shows us that he's committed to winning anymore. I don't.
Yeah, and a
I
lot
don't.
of it has to do with the fact that they're, Fenway Four Corners and the restaurants and everything that are all about the city of Boston. They're making
MGM, all of the
they're
infrastructure there.
yeah, they are printing money.
It's
It's
Disney World.
Yeah, it's Disney World. And that's exactly right, because whether you're a diehard Red Sox fan like we are, or you're just a casual fan that's coming for a weekend, they're going to get the money. And there was a statistic last year we talked about in the offseason where it said that the Red Sox payroll was down 35%, but attendance was down 7%. Listen, it doesn't take a mathematician to realize that if I can lose 7, but I can save 35%, you do that all day long. And that's exactly what they're doing. Last thing that we'll talk about before talking about the Detroit Tigers series that's coming up is an interesting thing. Again, part of this was on Felger and Maz or so as well. And it had a lot to do with, are the Red Sox and their organization really screwing up a lot of these young players? And I want to preface this by you looking at guys like Christian Campbell, who came up and there was some tinkering going on. You mentioned David Hamilton just a couple minutes ago, tinkering with him with launch angle and traded to Milwaukee, and the Brewers turning around saying, listen, your best asset is your speed. You should hit the ball, kind of like Major League the movie, right? You should be hitting into the ground and running them out. The Red Sox try to take guys and not use them to their strength and try to recreate them. And I think the biggest example you're seeing right now is a guy named James Tibbs. And if you're not familiar with him, James Tibbs was the guy that was supposed to be the centerpiece deal, if you want to call him, outside of Harrison, in the trade that sent Rafael Devers to the Giants. And the report was that the Red Sox actually tried to change his swing, and he really didn't do well in Double-A, I think it was. His numbers were quite down. He gets traded to the Dodgers in this deal, and look what you're looking at. The Dodgers said to him, go back to the way you used to hit in college. They reworked his swing to, get that working again. And now you're seeing a guy with minor league statistics hitting a 323 with 8 home runs and 14 RBIs in 65 at-bats. John, your thoughts?
Yeah, and not to mention he's in the midst of a 3 for 30 slump right now, and those are what his numbers still are. But yeah, I have a lot of opinions on the drive line that the Red Sox rely so heavily on, and my biggest irk with them is just that their philosophy is really just pull the ball and pull the ball hard. Where hitting the ball hard, 100% agree with, but they want you to tweak the swing so that your ideal, launch angle, attack angle, all that stuff is pull side, ball in the air. Where a lot of these guys, like we've seen it with Durbin, where the guy just flat out cannot hit when he with that philosophy under his belt. And it with Campbell, granted his injury really hurt him a lot, but that guy, I don't even know what the hell they did with him. He just can't pull a baseball anymore. So I don't know what the hell Driveline's doing with him. And he's their poster child. Very well known and throughout the Red Sox minor league system. Christian Campbell, I don't want to say was on the opening day roster last year because of he was just a yes man for the organization, but it's not entirely wrong to say that.
He took a contract deal.
He accepted the contract extension, but a little bit of also just he never said no to anything that the Red Sox said, and they rewarded him for that, which he's not wrong for doing. But Driveline I think is good in the sense of getting swing speed up, but the whole pull the ball in the air philosophy, I get analytically it may look good for guys that it does work for, It's just like how Aaron Judge's swing works really well for him. It doesn't work really well for 99% of other people. And I'm not saying the drive line doesn't work for 99% of people, but it doesn't work for everybody. And I think that's really where the minor league development and even major league development for the Red Sox is failing right now.
Nick, same question to you as it relates to the Red Sox inability to get the best out of their players by trying to reestablish the way that they play the game to their wants versus what's best for the player. And is James Tibbs, a perfect example of this?
He's just one of many examples. The one that's just right on my brain right now was Ryan Brazier. Ryan Brazier was a guy that was a cast-off, and the Red Sox were trying to make it work with Brazier. And then the Dodgers, they released Ryan Brazier, got released. Then the Dodgers picked him up. And look what the Dodgers were able to do. They were able to fix him and make him a big piece of their bullpen. I think it was about 2 years ago.
Yeah, it was during 24.
Or 2024, that's right. And turned his career around. And then he left the Dodgers and then the Cubs, and then he went downhill. I look at the Dodgers, obviously, as the premier organization on doing things the right way. You have a general manager that knows what he's doing. You have a coaching staff that, for the most part, knows what they're doing. A minor league system. Obviously, look at James Tibbs with everything that he's doing right there. Their approaches go with the strength of the player. I'm going to repeat that. Their approaches go with the strength of the player, not the drive line philosophy of launching the damn thing to the moon. It is the stupidest, most flawed approach this organization has preached to their team for far too long. I wish Jim Rice would stand up to these imbeciles, take a bat. Who cares if it's, I'm not a violence guy, but take the goddamn bat and swat the hell out of them all and get them out of here like they're annoying little mosquitoes. I despise driveline. I despise it because it has single-handedly ruined the offensive approaches for so many of these guys on this team. I'm sick of it. Caleb Durbin's skill set is contact. Drive the ball the other way. And yet, here we go. Oh, I'm going to launch this one over the monster. Jarren Duran, a classic example. Jarren Duran would excel with a team like the Dodgers or, again, a lower market team because he'll play at his skill set. The Brewers would be a fantastic spot for him because they would make the same exact approach that they're using with David Hamilton translate over to Jarren Duran. And Jarren Duran on another organization would probably be an all-star again. Yes, you just heard that out of my mouth. He would.
Oh, I completely agree with I agree with you.
Walker Buehler. He just goes with the Padres. Walker Buehler just had a nice serviceable start against the Red Sox. Made the Red Sox look like they were facing Nolan Ryan, for Christ's sakes.
Look what the Brewers.
I see the view count still going as I speak, and I love that because it shows people that I know what I'm talking about. There's got to be more people out there that feel the same way we do. We're sick of these systematic approaches with this organization not working.
Nick, Quinn Priester from last year, Kyle Harrison from this year. Okay, the list goes on and on. These guys leave Boston and they become all-stars. So
Sure
this is why I had a tweet the other day. I said, "What does Andrew Bailey do here?" Everybody was loving the fact that Andrew Bailey was signed here to be the pitching coach a couple seasons ago. And I have yet to see anything he's excelled at. I mean, do you want to give him some credit for Bayo? I don't know where you give him credit for. This team has been revolving door. Liam Hendricks, again, you brought up a couple other guys. We've gone through these guys. There was a statistic too, I think Felger or Maz had. If you look back since 2020, all the reclamation projects that they've had, including things like James Paxton, Corey Kluber,
You could put Sonny Gray in the list right now, Jim. You could. He's got
well,
one
you
good
could, but he
start and
wasn't.
2 ones
he-
that fail.
But he wasn't hurt in a reclamation project. I'm talking specifically Patrick Sandoval. All these guys,
stop
Liam
it with them.
Hendricks. Okay, all these guys that you signed was over $110 million spent by the Boston Red Sox. You know what they got out of that?
Nothing.
They got a combined 4-4 record average with a 4-something ERA. And they could have had a bona fide number one Max Fried ace for just a little bit more money and had a better record that he already overdid last year than what they did over the course of 5 seasons with these 7 schmucks. It's unbelievable.
I will say, Andrew Bailey gets a little bit more of a leash than I would say Pete Fatsi. I'm saying just a little bit.
Yeah.
Because at least you can say Bailey has done something right with Crochet at times. I'll give him a little credit for that. Aroldis Chapman, you can give him credit for that. Getting Garrett Whitlock back into a better solid system to make him excel. I can give him those. I can't give Pete Fatsi one thing. And I'm not trying to be a hater. You can't give Pete Fatsi 1 ounce of credit for anything that he has done with this team. He has screwed this offense with his little robot nerds launching that ball since 2020. Actually, 2019 when he was the assistant. So he's been around for 7 seasons, folks. And it's the same shit every game, over and over and over again. I'm done.
Moving right along, we want to just kind of go over probables for this weekend series. Just keep in mind, folks, that this is a 4-game series. We have the reach around game on Monday. So what you're looking at here is Friday, April 17th against Detroit. That is a 7:15 start. It's Ranger Suarez against Casey Mize. Saturday, April 18th, which is Thayer's birthday, against Detroit at 4:10 p.m. start. Brian Bayo against Tarek Skubal. And then Sunday is a 1:35 start. It's going to be Garrett Crochet against Framber Valdez. And then the reach around game Monday morning, which is going to be against Detroit at 11:10 a.m. start. Sonny Gray against Jack Flaherty. I'm going to go first, and I'm going to say the Red Sox will lose 3 out of 4. There's no way they're going to beat Skubal. I don't see them beating Valdez or Flaherty, and Casey Mize is probably one of the better ones of them all. So it's going to be a very interesting situation there. But don't expect to watch the game on Friday, folks, because it's on Apple TV. John, I'll start with you. What's your predictions?
I've got a split. You go into a series, any series, I don't care who you're facing and, what the lineup looks like. It's in 2026, if you have Ranger Suarez, Brian Bale, Garrett Crochet, and Sonny Gray throwing, I get that they've had struggles. I can't imagine these guys losing more than 2 of the games. And especially after, this Crochet start, we're going to get a pissed off Crochet. Hopefully it's more of a thrower Crochet than a pitcher Crochet that he's trying to be this year. Just give me, pump the fastball 70% of the time.
John, is he injured?
No, he is not. Everybody after his start, everybody was freaking out about the velocity being down. The velocity was down last year, when he specifically pitched in Minnesota. And then he went on to throw, his next 5 games, it was like a 1.2 ERA, and the velocity ticked right back up. So maybe it's a park that he just doesn't feel comfortable in. He doesn't like the mound. And then, when you're getting pounded left and right, where you have zero confidence, you have zero feel for where your pitches are going, of course the velocity is going to be down. So I'm not concerned. I wasn't concerned at all about that.
He stinks against the Twins, and he stinks in Target Field.
Yeah, and Houston. And then besides that, he's a Cy Young. But yeah, I mean, as I was saying, like I got 2 out of 4 just relying specifically on the pitching. I if it gets worse than it was outside of today, then that's on me for being naive and thinking more of what this team actually is. And then offensively, probably going to have 2 games of the offense showing up and 2 games of the offense striking out 12 times. So I got a split.
Nick, your predictions for the weekend series.
John, you're absolutely right with the pitching. We should feel better about the starters that are going. The list that you just spewed off. You get your Crochets, you've got Bayo, you got Gray, and you got Ranger Suarez. There shouldn't be this concern level for a Detroit Tigers team, but yet there is. And it's not really because of the pitching. I'll go back a step first. I'll also agree with John. I don't think Garrett Crochet is hurt. I think that there's something mentally up with him when he pitches against the Twins and at Target Field. I am chalking that up to baseball demons out there for some reason with him. That's the only thing I can chalk it up to. I think that he'll bounce back fine, and he will keep our concern level down on that. But if he was hurt, we would know. I just think something wasn't up with him that night. Now, where are we going to be on this 4-game series? I just mentioned the pitching seems half decent. The problem is our anemic offense. The Detroit Tigers are going to take 3 of 4, and I say that with full confidence. This lineup sucks, guys. Sucks. Capital S-U-C-K. And there is that will give me hope, and there is nothing that I see that can be fixed until somebody steps the you-know-what up and becomes a leader. Because this team has no leader.
Yeah.
I don't see anything changing coming back to Fenway. If anything, we are going to see Whiff City, USA in Boston, Mass this weekend, especially with Tarek Struble here. Expect higher than 12 Ks, at least in that start. And then Framber Valdez, you'll probably reach the double digits again from that. So it's going to be strikeout city this weekend. Cora will try and tinker yet again with something with the lineup. I think we can all say that we like where Story is at least. But for the love of friggin' Christmas, please get Roman Anthony out of the leadoff spot. He is not a leadoff hitter. Drop him down to 6 at least. Get the guy right. Figure out something else. I'll even entertain putting Rafaela at leadoff right now. So long as it gets Roman Anthony out of that spot, do it. And I am also at the stage, and this is going to be a shocker to some of you, I would rather see Andrew Monasterio play third base than I would Caleb Durbin right now.
Yeah, he's not giving you anything.
I might even say Connor Falafel. I'd rather see play third base than Durbin.
Play third base or hit?
Both.
Both.
I mean, yeah,
I'm done on Durbin does nothing for me. And the problem, John, that I have with it, and this isn't because of Durbin, this is because of the Red Sox organization. I don't see Durbin doing anything unless he gets free reign to be the player he is, a contact guy. If he can go back to that approach and he's allowed to be trusted to do his thing, then I say I'm okay with it. But because of the stubbornness and stupidity of the systems that the Red Sox preach here, I think what we're going to see with Durbin right now is who we're going to get. And I am really upset with that because I was happy and I was big on Durbin coming here. And I'm already telling you right now, I think it's going to be a big fail. Unfortunately, I just do. Because I don't know if he can get out of this funk because of what has been preached to him on this organization. Again, another organization fail. The other thing I want to mention quickly is that you guys have to make a decision here. And I say us, because Masa Yoshida must be in the everyday lineup right now. Has to be. So you have to make the lineup out of who you're benching. But Yoshida, you cannot bench right now. He's the only one that's showing me life out of the rotated outfielders that's there. So you pick and choose who you're going to sit. It's a very tough decision to make.
Well,
they were praying that they were praying that Rafaela broke one of his hands on the 3 times that he got hit there over the series.
Well, as far as your comment on Yoshida, Nick, the Red Sox are now 1-10 in games that Yoshida has an at bat. Or let me say this, plate appearance, because I know someone's going to have a hard time with that comment. Yep, 1-10. They got their first win today with Yoshida with a plate appearance. They were 0-10 before. I had a tweet out earlier, or 0-10 before today's game. So I don't know if I do want him. You know what? It's a crapshoot with all these guys. But to your point, Durbin's doing nothing.
Nothing.
So, and again, I agree with you. Just like we talked about with Tibbs and these other guys, it's not so much the player as it is the organization. It's an organizational failure. It's an epic failure. And you have to blame the Red Sox for Red Soxian these players. It's not just the players. And you have to blame management and the organization. It's time for Dugout Dipshits. We got one.
And now it's time for everyone's favorite segment, the Dugout Dipshits.
I think I'll leave it just like that. No words or all the words. That's your Dugout Dipshit for today. Moving on to comments. Let's see what we got here. We got some cat meows. Let's see. Jaron Duran flipping off a fan and now being investigated. That's the kind of distraction this team does not need. You're absolutely right. Again, like I started with my open, I just think, he should have taken the higher road. There's only so much that you can say on that. Woohoo, Martinello Minute. Groovy, I hope you have a Martinello Minute t-shirt. If you don't,
you better.
Go to RedSoxDigest.com, go to the store, and have your own version of the Martinello Minute that you can wear proudly every day. There says, sup, fellas. I think he was on. A couple comments there, even on Twitch. He says, it's not just John Henry. I'm more pissed off at Mr. Megalomania, Alex, Doc Rivers, Cora. Yeah, I mean, look, I'm not a Cora. Everybody that knows me knows I'm not a Cora fan. Nick, I think you're a big no on Cora. I think you were out in 2019 because I know I was. Cora said at the end of 2018, if you liked what you saw this year, wait till you see us next year. And there's a difference between confidence and showboating, and that's the problem there. I was, of course, screwed Christian Campbell after tremendous April. Cora tinkered with his bad hitting stance, and the kid is still screwed up now. The kid can't hit. He doesn't have a position, and he's making $60 million. He's the richest guy in Worcester. So, I mean, that's where we're at. That said, any closing thoughts? Nick, I'll start with you.
I had something on my mind. Oh, yes, a big one. And I'm glad I just remembered. I don't know why my brain's actually working well tonight. I have your next manager for the Boston Red Sox ready to go. He was a former champion, beloved here in Boston. Who is my choice to be the next Red Sox manager? And I would hire him in a minute, and I would kick everybody to the curb. I think you guys will like my choice. And he is currently not with the organization. Anybody have an idea?
John Martinello.
Oh, that's a good choice.
Maybe. Waiting on the call.
Any thoughts? Beloved.
You said in the organization right now or no?
Is not in the organization. Not. But has expressed interest when the time is right to be a manager.
So he's not currently a manager?
He's not currently a manager. He's involved in some capacity with something in baseball, though. Maybe you hear him sometimes. Any thoughts? Gold Glover.
My first thought was
I'm going to go
Manny
with Rich
Ramirez,
Hill.
but not for
No.
Manny.
Who you
not for
going with?
managing.
I'm going to go with Rich Hill.
No, I like him on Nesson. He can stay there. Stay over there, old man.
I got nothing.
Rich Hill is the only guy who's actually played. I put this tweet out because he said he played with. I forgot who it was now. I'm going to lose this, but the joke was that he played with that guy. He played with Kirby Puck. He played with Harmon Killebrew.
He played with guys in the 90s, 2000s, 2010s.
All the way to the
All
70s.
And he did play with this guy. Is
it Kevin Millar?
It is not Kevin Millar.
Okay.
No. We're not cowboying up. Kevin Millar is not leaving Texas.
No.
No, he's not.
All right, tell us who it is.
All right, everybody, and I think you're going to really like my choice. My choice for the Red Sox next manager, and if they do it right, they're going to get themselves a gold star guy, Mike Lowell. Mike Lowell is my choice. I would do it in a minute. I think he would be tremendous. He's got the bilingual kind of thing.
Yeah,
he'd
be good with the Latin players. Yeah.
I think that he has the right baseball smarts and IQ to get it done. I know he's located in Miami. That's where home is and stuff like that. The question is, could he be pulled from, Miami and Florida to come and do this job? This is not an easy job by any means, but I think he would come with an incredible amount of love, more so than Cora. Because let's be real, Cora was backup journeyman guy. Mike Lowell is a champion, loved, did things the right way.
Gold Glover, World Series MVP.
I think that would be icing on the cake. I think that's the right choice if we get to that point. I do not want Jason Varitek I want Varitek Gonzoville. So I'm going to head for the hills because Catherine Varitek's going to come for me. Goodbye.
John, closing thoughts.
Just these guys got to figure out something. They have zero identity right now, and I think that is a major player as to why, not necessarily the wins and losses, but just the energy throughout the clubhouse. We didn't, we saw last year where they were 500 or a couple games below 500, and then they went out to Minnesota last year and had that crazy crazy plane ride, and then they had the celebration of the waving plane and whatever, and that's when they things started jumping. So I think that these guys, to really get the ball rolling, just have to have some I don't want to say like an event or get together, but they need to find something that they can all agree on and just start, whether it's an inside joke in the clubhouse or something, they're out at a team dinner and something happens there, or maybe they just all hang out in the clubhouse and get pissed drunk together. But these guys have to do something where they could bond upon with, and just just the charisma, feel something with this team that we haven't yet, because every single year when the Red Sox get hot, it's because of something happens that they were all there for.
Yeah, I don't know if I like the Wally home
that thing's got to go
helmet. After I think after the second player ever wore that, the first thing I was thinking about is someone coughing into that thing and sneezing into it, and then the next guy's wearing that. That's a breeding ground for some kind of disease.
Yeah.
If
my
you
thoughts
haven't
on that thing, I just like 1 year at a time. For the home run celebrations, at least 1 year, find something new.
Just goes to show you they don't have an identity. That's going to wrap it up for today. If you haven't been to our website, please go ahead and subscribe to our digital newsletter at redsoxdigest.com. I didn't have an article today, and the other thing we also didn't have today was a star of the game, but I'll explain how it works. If you do, on days that we do have a live show, you'll see a graphic like this. Go ahead in the comments and put who you think your star of the game will be for that game. and we'll tally up the points at the end of the year. You win a $100 MLB Shop gift card, courtesy of Red Sox Digest. The reason why there was no star of the game today to put in, my dad had surgery this morning. It was successful. He is in recovery. There's chances are he could come home tomorrow already, which is great. And so today's been a bit of a challenging day for me. Other than that, tomorrow I should have the article up. This podcast will be available, and we'll be rolling. So I'd like to thank Nick and John for being on tonight, and I'd also like to
dad's the star of the game. Congrats to your dad.
Thanks, I appreciate that. And I'd like to thank Nick and John for being on tonight, and also all the fans that follow us on Twitter and in the comments. We love you all. Have a great night. I think we'll be on Sunday. I'll confirm with the team, but you can look for that at that point. Have a great night, everybody, and be well.